Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. And welcome back to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. I'm your host, Jody, with my fellow host,
Sunflower. And
this is a very, very quick Director's Cut. Today, we finished Piggy. It's from Spain. I would say 0 out of 10. That shit is trash.
Oh, that's a very bold statement.
Yeah, it's upsetting because Hulu bought it.
Yeah,
it was on. You know what? It was on
Prime
mm-hmm. to buy. Nobody bought that shit. It was so upsetting. There was no real development in character besides her doing what she did. I won't give any spoilers.
No spoilers
or anything
today.
But it was so upsetting. I decided to write my own fat girl heroine killing kind of movie.
Yeah.
And of course, Sunflower is going to rate it and name it. All right, so we have Destiny, right? She's a 18-year-old senior, and we see her. At work at a shoe store, zoned out, while she's supposed to be stocking Crocs or Nikes or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And while she's in a haze of just staring off into the distance, her dad is like right in front of her. He's like, "Hey, Destiny, look what I got you." And it was manga. She loves manga. She loves anime, everything about it. She partially speaks Japanese. She is also the president of the anime club at school. She's a senior. She's about to go, and her big dream is to go to Japan. That's on her vision board. That's what she wants to do, right? And this anime, this manga, I apologize. This manga that she got from her dad just gave her, impromptu, you know what I mean? They're about middle class family, but she doesn't get a lot of things, and also it's a lot. I'll get into it. So this manga's called Kika, the 3-ton demon slayer. Right? And then Kika, the 3-ton demon slayer, is just this big woman killing these demons with her ass. Right? Smashing them with her ass. She gets them in a trance by clapping her cheeks. And there's a few attacks. There's one where she slams her ass on their heads while they're standing or even laying down after she knocks them down. There's one where she claps her cheeks and it creates a sonic boom effect that obliterates your organs. And there's another one where she claps her cheeks around your head and your head is smashed as well.
Okay, all right.
Off the top of the head, nigga, I'm crazy. Anyway, so she like devours this in a lunch sitting, right? And she finds out, I want this to be late 90s. Okay. Like 97 or so. So she finds out that there's 6 more volumes. She begs her dad when she got home. And he was like, you know what you can do? You can buy it yourself. I got it from a flea market. I saw there's a few more, but, you always got to start with number 1, right? And like I said, her main thing is Japan.
Right.
Her working all this time, all summer, the last few summers when she entered high school, when she began this plan, was to get to Japan. So her getting the job that she's been working, she's just stacking money. She did not want to spend that shit, but she did. She spent a little bit of money and bought all the volumes. She fell in love with it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of background to her, right? Destiny, like I said, she's 18 years old. Her dad is a newly married man. Her mother died of cardiac arrest. Mm-hmm. Her dad's a pretty big fellow as well. He worked for the DMV. Her mom worked for the DMV as well. He just married this new, buxom, young, only like 10 years older than her, kind of vivacious marathon runner. And actually, let's say she's older. So she's 40. Dad's like 52. Right?
Okay.
So the stepmom, her new stepmom is, I say 40, right?
Yes.
And she has a son. And he's, I want to say 16. Okay. So, and she gets picked on in school. She's always been picked on because she's a big girl.
Yeah.
That's Destiny, 18 years old, high schooler, senior, president of the anime club, fat. She's a big girl, right? And so much so that outside of her comfort zone, outside of talking in front of the anime, doing projects and shit like that, science projects, she's quiet as fuck. You will not catch her talking out of turn type of thing, right? But people pick on her. They shit on her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So throughout the day, she goes home. Like, let's say her dad gave her the manga Sunday and school starts, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, she gets dropped off by her stepmom. And she's like, bye, Destiny, bye, her son and shit like that. And they get out. And he walks behind Destiny. He's making fart sounds.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, I fucking hate this dude, bro. And she walks up the stairs. And then he's just like, whoa, earthquake. And people like are fucking laughing and shit. She just scoffs, lets it go, whatever. That's her stepbrother. And of course it has to be a HBIC. And she just like, who has a crush on her stepbrother. You know what I mean? So it's not that she like really goes out to hate Destiny. She just is really into what he's into, and that's shitting on Destiny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's a cheerleader. She just likes this dork kind of guy, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, shits on her clothes as soon as she walks in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, your shoes are leaning, like nice cankles, fat ass type of stuff, right? And the guy who likes the cheerleader, well, let's say this, her boyfriend, although she likes the stepbrother, the HBIC, her boyfriend is a football player. Not the captain or anything like that. Just some D-line nigga.
Yeah.
Big motherfucker. And he wants Destiny. He wants to fuck her. Okay. But that translates into him, like, calling her fat fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's like the whole boys are mean to girls because they like them thing.
Yeah. And also, it's like inappropriate sexual kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they have a majority class together. In some of the classes, he puts his hand on her seat. And she sits down. And he's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm stuck. Oh, help me. And
yeah.
Like, although he's like getting a cheap feeling.
Yeah, borderline sexual harassment.
Exactly, bro. He's grabbing butt cheeks. So she's like, all right, enough is enough on this day. He does that to her, the football player, the boyfriend of the HBIC. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to the principal. Like, I can't fucking, do this shit. The principal, like, is in his office making paper planes or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And, or he's, like, working on a miniature V8 engine.
Yeah.
Right? She comes in, slams the door, and it's, like, real small. So he, like, fucks something up and he breaks it. And he's already pissed off and shit like that. And Destiny's just like, football player guy. Let's call him
Chad.
Yeah, Chad. Right? Chad fucking grabbed my ass. I would like to fill out a report against him. And he was like, oh my God. Destiny, look, I know, you like your little cartoons and stuff, and cartoons can lead to delusions. He did not do that. Chad Chatterson did not grab your ass. Like, come on. Why would he do that? And he's going out with HBIC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think a guy like that would stoop down to... You're like, he's a real misogynistic dickhead. He's a dickhead, bro. Plain and simple. Right? And she's like, ugh, whatever. Like, fuck it, whatever, dude. And, like, leaves and shit like that. And he's like, don't slam the door. And then she slams it even harder and shit like that. His fucking engine, like, falls apart or something like that. Right? Lunch happens. She sneaks away to the anime club and she's, like, revered in that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Subs only, nigga. Subtitles only. All the anime you never fucking heard of. Every intro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's
Trivia.
Like, exactly. She's that motherfucker. And, you know, people like her. And there's only, I want to say there's only like maybe 6 people in the fucking class.
Okay.
In the group, you know what I mean? And it happens and she doesn't necessarily like any guy in there. She just focused on her goal. Japan.
Yeah. Japan.
You know what I mean? And, she gets home. It's a rough fucking day. It's the same thing. It's been the same thing for 4 years. And it's a rough fucking day. Well, the cheerleader is a new thing, but the football player isn't.
Right.
The principal being a dickhead isn't. You know what I mean? And so she goes home with fucking stepbrother. And stepbrother, they get home and shit like that, and they're alone in the house. Right?
Yeah.
And he's being like real fucking nice to her. Right? And she's like, where's this kind of, you know, energy when we're at school and shit like that? He's like, you know, I gotta, you know, keep up appearances kind of thing. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, right. And he's like, no, like you know you're beautiful. You know you're this and that. You know, don't take my word so fucking hard. Right? Yeah. And she's like, man,
I gotta put on a front for these people.
Exactly. And she's like, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And he's like, you want to watch a movie or something? And she's like, all right, sure. And they're sitting down there watching shit. And he's like, oh, you know, or watching like an anime. She is, can I watch some shit with you or something like that? Yeah. Sits down and stuff, and they're watching. And he's sitting close to her, and they're talking and shit. And he like stretches his arms out and puts it over her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he like leans over and like starts to grab on her titties and shit, trying to make out with her, right? And she's like, "Get the fuck off of me!" He's just like, "What? Like what?" You know what I'm saying? I thought fat girls were easy, like, you know, air jack off in front of her. And she's like completely disgusted. Totally off the fucking Richter scale. She storms away, goes to her room. Right? And I said earlier she spent money, right, on getting the other manga. Let's get that. Right?
Okay.
Let's cross that out. Her parents get home. Her dad gets home actually, because her mom stays out. I mean, her stepmom stays out a little bit later. Uh-huh. And he's like, I got a surprise for you. And it's the rest of the manga.
Oh, right? Cool.
The 2 through 7 volumes and shit. And she like eats that shit up, right? And in her dream, she was the 3-ton demon slayer. She's that motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And she woke up with this thrill in her heart, like, God damn, I'm that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was flying, I was fucking slamming my big ass everywhere. Felt good.
Yeah.
You know? And I want it to be, like, she's awoken by a scream.
Okay.
Right? Uh-huh. And it's just like this terrifying scream in the fucking house. And she's like, what the fuck? Like searching through the hallway. I want it to be like a scattered kind of camera angles and shit like that. You don't know what the fuck is. And it goes to stepbrother's room. And his mom's sitting there just like on her knees, like crying and shit like that. And her dad's like trying to hold her. And he's like, call the police and shit like that. And the stepbrother's in the bed and his head is completely fucking smashed to shit.
Whoa.
Completely smashed to shit. Right? like obliterated. And, you know, Destiny gets on the phone. She's like, oh, help me. You know what I mean? Somebody, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? They come there and shit like that. Investigation. And they're like, we don't know what could have fucking done this.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of machine, like a rock. Like, you know what I mean? And everybody's a suspect and shit. So they go through this shit and they don't find anything. You know what I mean? And so, you know, life goes on. Then later that day, she goes to school and shit. She's a little bit distraught, but she can give a fuck about that guy.
For real.
You know? So she's like walking through school and shit like that, and HBIC, she's like weeping and shit. Mm-hmm. And Chad is trying to console her. Like, and then he catches Destiny in his vision and like gives her like a wink, and she's like, ugh.
Disgusted.
Fucking gross. Right? And she's like weeping and shit like that, and shit is going on, and the principal calls her into the office. And it's just like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? That you have to, you know, trying to be the principal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his pig-headedness is in there. He's like, you know, really shaking shit up. He's like, still gross, but still trying to be helpful in his own way. And she's like, thanks, and stuff like that. And he's just like, if you need anything, just let us know. We have counselors and stuff like that. And also, Destiny, before you leave, not for naught, I just want to say overeating is not the answer. Right? And she's just like, okay, bro. She goes back home and shit like that. After the whole fucking day, anime and shit like that. And they're like, maybe right now we should, you know, not everybody wants to be in the fucking house and shit. They carted his body away and they're doing all this shit. Or maybe they're still in the house. Yeah. But his shit is cautioned off. And they're living and shit. And she falls asleep reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's on volume 4. She's reading this shit, and on the news there's like breaking news, and her dad calls her down to the fucking living room. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, Principal Engine was found. You know, principal of the local high school was found with his head completely fucking smashed to shit. You know what I mean? He was found under his car. It looks like maybe it was an accident or something like that. His head was crushed beneath his car, but the car was not placed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it was fishiness, but his head was fucking smashed at the end of the day. Right? And they're just like, what the fuck is going on? They say that there was a, you know, and then they're leading like serial killer, shit like that.
Number 2.
Yeah. There's, you know, somebody earlier today was found with their head smashed, and some, you know what I mean? They think it's like a prowler or a night stalker or something like that. Curfew immediately. Right? She still goes to school because she's a fucking A student, AAA student. She's like, I gotta still deal with my shit. Everybody's like wearing black, all somber and shit. They hold a
vigil?
Not a vigil, but a, what is it called? When they meet all into the fucking...
In the quad?
No. They meet in the basketball court. Everybody's there. It's not a pep rally. They have a fucking... starts with an A, I think. Any fucking way. They meet all... Everybody meets all in the fucking... the theater or some shit like that. Doesn't fucking matter. And they're just like, have a moment of silence for the principal and a fellow student, stepbrother.
Yeah.
But tonight, you know what I mean? I mean, this weekend we have the big game, right? The homecoming game or whatever the fuck. Or not even homecoming. It's like before prom and shit. She goes and it's like before prom, like the big game, blah blah blah. This is what's gonna happen, and then you see Chad amongst the people up there in the front while the head nigga's giving his speech. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, yeah, let's do that shit, and they're training and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And this is the first death we see up front. You know what I'm saying? Before we just see the images.
Right.
Which is like super, super heavy.
Yeah.
But this time we see what the fuck happens, right? So everybody's lifting weights and shit, and Chad's in there roided the fuck out, doing hella much extra shit. And then he's like, I'm gonna, finish on bench. Anybody wanna? They're like, dude, we started with that shit. Go ahead, keep pumping that shit out. He's like, fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He gives handshakes and shit. And the music is hella fucking loud. And he starts to pump and shit like that, right? Puts more weight, pump it. Puts more weight, pump it, right? And then he puts on like too much weight. And then he gets one out, two, and gets locked underneath that shit. And he put the clamps on. When you get to a certain weight, you don't put that shit on, so you can clink, 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 right? And you see like a shadow move from in the background while he's stuck underneath it, struggling, right? And then he's just like trying to move, like screaming for help and shit like that. Help, help! And nobody's fucking hearing him because the music's so loud. Everybody's in the locker room, literally the room over, and he like looks up. Like, you know how you look pretty fucking hard, so his neck is bending.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you? And all you see is like a blood splatter against the wall. Right? And a few moments later, they come in and just like, come on, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? We gotta hit the showers. Coach wants us to get an early chat. Holy fuck. And then it cuts to the news again. And then everybody's sitting watching the news and the family. And they're just like, local fucking defensive lineman, NFL hopeful, Chad Chatterson is found with his head completely fucking smashed to shit. Right? And they're just like, what the fuck? You're like, you know what I mean? Now the school's going to be on lockdown. So there ain't no extracurricular activities. There ain't no fucking clubs. It's just bop, school, nigga, go home.
Yeah.
School, go home. Right? And, yeah. So they take that shit. School, go home, fine. It completely fucks up Destiny. Destiny's pissed off. This entire time, she's been coping. School has been her relief.
Right.
Work, school, home. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's all her. That's her only thing. You know what I mean? And so she goes from school to work, and she's hella irritated and shit because she didn't get her anime talk out. Everybody's only friends in the anime club. Outside, she's just a lonely motherfucker.
Yeah.
To be real. So she goes to work, and she's like putting shoes up angrily, and she drops a shoe. She picks it up off the ground, and she stands back up, and she hears. She turns around, and it's HBIC, like grinning, like. She's like, oh my God, can I help you? And she was like, I'm looking for a size 4 in this and this and this. And trying to strike up conversation and like, when's the funeral for stepbrother? When can, you know what I'm saying? I liked him, you know what I mean? And I'm sorry about earlier. But, you know, I get carried away sometimes. I act out of character when I like people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she, she feels sympathy. Destiny feels sympathy towards her. And she's like, no, it's fine. And they kind of like, make amends. They're like, we good, bro? You know what I mean? Not that they were fucking friends at a certain point in time, but they've always been around each other. As you know, when you're around a motherfucker in school long enough, you know what I mean? You've been around this nigga for 5 years. Yeah. You kind of build like a rapport.
You do.
That's what they had before, you know what I mean? Before this school year, because that's when the stepbrother came in around. So, she's at the register buying the shit and they exchange smiles. But then some girls from school come in and HBIC just flips it back to what she was doing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got your fucking grease all over my shit. And then Destiny's like, what the fuck? Like, and you can tell she's a two-faced bitch, bro.
Yep.
Right? And she just bought, HBIC just bought fucking running shoes. Then it cuts to her leaving. And then Destiny just staring out of the window at her leave and get into her mom's car and shit like that. And drive off. And she drives to like a little track where she's not supposed to be, like a off-road kind of area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the little forest right by where they're at. We'll come up with where they're at specifically at the end. So she like laces her shit up. She's like looking around and shit like that. Puts her headphones on and gets to running and shit. You know what I mean? Because so far the guy, whoever's killing, has only been males. So really, she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Very
fuck
true.
it. So she goes and starts to jog and shit like that. And she feels somebody like behind her. And she looks behind her, nothing. Keeps running. Looks behind her, nothing again. We see a little shadow dipping left to right. Mm-hmm. Very slow. She takes out her headphones like, who the fuck is that? Don't make me call the fucking police because I will. Right? And it's like, it's a build-up, right? For when she turns around. She turns around, nothing. She puts the earphones back on. And she feels it again behind her. And she turns around. Nothing again. And she just starts taking off. Running. As fast as she fucking can. And she goes, like, she doubles back. So she goes like say she was running in a straight line into the forest. Like she did like a loop around and got back on the same shit. So whatever following her, she was like, I'm going to just cut them off and run back to my car. Like she gets the keys like out while she's running and shit like that. And then this thing, she sees it now. And she's like, what the like, and she's like putting on fucking turbo blast. And it unlocks the car door, right? And as she's like running, she falls. Scrubs right on the concrete. I want it to be kind of like, you know how you park somewhere right before you get onto like a bike trail or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? She completely biffs it and she turns around on her back. She's and they cut to Destiny, her dad, and stepmom watching the news. Local cheerleader found with her fucking head concaved in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just like, the mayor has called in the fucking, let's say the Coast Guard or some shit like that. And the Coast Guard's all around and shit. And nothing. They don't find shit. It's completely like these just string of murders and shit like that, right? And the whole time she just has a smile on her face. Destiny does, watching this news every time. And she has the same, I want a smile on her face while she's watching the news. And then it snaps to her smile on her face while she's shaking her hand graduating. And then smile on her face and she's on the beach of fucking Japan. Right? And she's in a bikini. all the roses out. She don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? She's laying on her belly, reading manga in this Kika, the 3-ton demon slayer, right? And there's a shadow that casts upon her, and it's this guy. It's a black guy, right? Speaking Japanese. That ain't a surprise. And he's just like, hey, like, how'd you get all those bruises, like, on your legs and stuff like that? And she was just like, oh, nothing. Just an accident. You know what I mean? He's just like, okay, cool. My name is Yoshi. You know what I mean? I'd like for you to come over and, hang out with us and stuff like that. If I'm not interrupting anything special, you know what I mean? She turns over and like the same grin on her face while she has her sunglasses, she pulls them up and she was like, yeah, no problem. And fucking puts away her manga. And I wanted to be like, we don't see the bruises until she's walking with him to them. And there's just big, giant, deep bruises on her ass. Giant bruises, like painfully looking.
Yeah.
And she walks over there and then the end. You feel me? Tell me that's not better than Piggy, my boy.
It is. It is.
Kiss my ass. Come on, Spain. You do better than that, nigga.
I think, yeah, that was really good. And then it leaves everything out, just like we were talking about before. Like, we don't see really.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Is it her? Is it really not? Is it? But, it gives it away, the things that she reacts to. I think you should name it Destiny, the 3-ton Demon Slayer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because... yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but we won't know what that means because it's Demon Slayer. Like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't know. We have no proof.
Nope.
We have inclinations.
Mm-hmm.
We have no proof, and until we see those big gigantic ass bruises on her ass, them big old cheeks, we're like, oh, this bitch was killing him. Killing all these niggas the way Kika is in fucking the manga. Wow. Yeah. Bad bitch. I want this to be Oregon. No. California. Fuck it.
Okay.
Nah. Let's go Colorado.
Okay.
Right? Red Mug, Colorado. Yep. And what would you rate it? Versus Piggy, bro.
Oh, Piggy wasn't a 0 in my book. I feel like that's just a little too much. So this is significantly better. And I would...
the top of the shit. I swear to God, I was just uploading all our videos to... my wife helped me out. But before, I was uploading these fucking videos, listening to Wendigoon. Shout out to Wendigoon. And I was just like, I can definitely make something better than this shit. Better than Piggy. Instantly. And I just wrote this shit down. And for sure there's a lot of ums and ahs, but I'm saying it off the top of my fucking head.
Well, yeah, it's not like you have the shit
exactly.
memorized.
Literally, these fucking notes are like maybe 15 half lines, 25 half lines. You know what I mean? But yeah, what would you rate this?
I would say that this is a solid 8.7.
8.7?
Yeah.
How would you rate it against Piggy? What would you rate Piggy?
Piggy, I would give it a solid 4. For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like it'd probably go up to like even just a 5, but it's just for certain parts. Honestly, for me, what fucked it all up was the voiceover.
Yeah.
The voiceover was...
yeah, we're a dub family over here. We could
have
watched it in subtitles.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah. But...
I didn't even think about that. But it was just like, the acting was okay.
It was...
but then you had the voiceover that was making it seem like like they do to the fucking Japanese flicks and all that. Like,
at the same
it's
time,
Americanized as fuck.
The character was terrible.
Her character, okay, yes. I feel like the acting was fine, but the characters needed a lot more development. It was only 100 minutes.
Yeah, I know that, but step your writing game up. Bitch.
For sure.
That's a 100-page screenplay.
To be fair, though, it was her first.
Movie?
From what I read today. Yeah.
Hey, look, sweetheart. I got a movie for you. And it's Destiny, the 3-ton Demon Slayer. I'm just saying. This shit is fire as fuck. And, but yeah. So, thank you for joining us on the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. I'm your host, Jody Pratt, with my fellow host,
Sunflower.
And I hope you guys liked Destiny, the 3-ton Demon Slayer. We love you. Don't stop being creative. We are the Scrapbook Podcast everywhere. We're up to date with all our director's cuts and Haunted Minds anthologies on YouTube. So go ahead and check it out. We love you. Don't stop being creative. Peace.
Bye.